All right, let's get right into it. We're about to explore a power struggle in the medieval Horn of Africa that pretty much flips the script on what you might think you know. It's a story all about ambition, economics, and a really surprising alliance that ended up reshaping an entire empire.
So when you think about the medieval Ethiopian highlands, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's this epic clash of civilizations, right? A lone Christian kingdom holding its ground against a rising Islamic sultanate, a holy war that lasted for centuries. Well, that's the popular version anyway.
But here's the thing, that story you think you know, it's not the whole story, not even close. The real history is way more complex, a lot more strategic, and honestly, it's so much more interesting. It's less about faith and more about finance, less about crusades and more about cold, hard, strategic calculation.
To really get this, we've got to rewind. We need to look at the Walashma dynasty not as religious warriors, but as what they really were, at least in the beginning, incredibly sharp businessmen who just happened to have an army. You see, their job was basically to be caravan enforcers. Think about it. They controlled the arteries of all commerce, the tough, dangerous trails that connected the Christian Zagwe kingdom up in the highlands to all the wealth at the Red Sea ports. They didn't make the stuff, but they owned the highway, and that gave them incredible power. And this is absolutely key. Their early relationship wasn't a holy war. It was a business deal, pure and simple. The Zagwe kings, they needed luxury goods, silks, spices, you name it, to show they were legit rulers. So they paid the Walashma safe passage fees, and in return, the Walashma made sure the caravans got through safely. It worked for both of them, but man, was it a relationship built on a knife's edge. Now this is where it gets really interesting. The Zagwe had another Muslim neighbor, the Maksumids, and that relationship was all about just coexisting, keeping things stable. But the Walashma, oh, they were a different breed entirely. Their whole strategy was predatory. It was about extortion, using their fast-moving cavalry to bully their way into a total monopoly over those trade routes. They weren't playing the same game at all. And all of this brings us to the absolute heart of our story. This is the moment that just shatters that whole holy war idea. We're talking about an alliance so unlikely, it forces you to rethink this entire period of history. This is the story of how a Christian king conquered an empire with the help of Muslim armies. Okay, so let's walk through how this all went down. For decades, in the mid-13th century, the Zagwe kingdom is just falling apart from the inside. The Walashma smell blood in the water. They see a huge opportunity. Then, in 1270, this new player, a guy named Yekuno Amlak, leads a revolt and wins. And just a few years after that, he writes a letter that completely gives the game away. I mean, listen to this quote. This isn't propaganda from his enemies. This is from the man himself, writing to the super-powerful Mamluk Sultan over in Egypt. Yekuno Amlak, the guy who founded the celebrated Christian Solomonic dynasty, is literally bragging that he commands Muslim armies. So, who exactly were these guys? Well, they were his secret weapon. His military edge came from two main groups. You had the Rurji cavalry. These guys were mobile merchants who knew the land like the back of their hand, acting as his spies and his shock troops. And then you had professional Amhara Muslim cavalry commanders. These were skilled warriors who had bailed on the weakening Maksumid Sultanate, basically seeing Yekuno Amlak as a better bet for their future. So let's reframe this whole thing. 1270 wasn't a Christian crusade. It was more like a multi-faith joint venture, a corporate takeover, if you will. Yekuno Amlak and his Muslim allies all saw the old Zagwe dynasty as a bottleneck, a roadblock standing between them and power and wealth. And together, they took it out. But here's the thing about alliances built on pure ambition. They rarely last, do they? The very thing that made their partnership so successful, winning, is exactly what planted the seeds for a massive conflict down the road. Let's look at how this incredible bargain completely soured. You can almost see the dominoes falling, one by one. First, they team up for the coup. Then, once they've won, they both start building up their own power bases. Yekuno Amlak is growing his new Christian Solomonic army, and at the same time, the Walashma officially declare themselves an independent sultanate. And then came the point of no return. The year 1285. This is the moment everything changes. The Walashma execute the last Maksumi sultan, and it's a massive power play. They aren't just taking over some land. No, they're seizing the entire Islamic half of the original deal they had with Yekuno Amlak. They're basically declaring themselves the undisputed leaders of Islam in the entire region. The partnership was dead, and rivalry was now the only thing left.
And this quote from the historian Tadesse Tamrat just nails it. It perfectly captures the Walashma's long-term strategy. They were never really interested in coexistence. They saw the Christian kingdom as a hinterland, a resource to be controlled, squeezed, and eventually completely consumed. Okay, so after all that, why should we care about a power struggle from hundreds of years ago? Well, because it forces us to look past those easy black and white stories we're always told and see the messy, complicated forces that really shape our world.
And here's the big lesson, right? This story is such a powerful reminder that history is almost never a simple battle of beliefs. More often than not, it's a chess match, and the pieces are moved by economics, by geography, and by raw ambition. Ideology is often just the justification people use later, not the actual cause.
You know, digging up stories like this feels a bit like intellectual archaeology, sifting through the layers of the official story to find the real structures hidden underneath. And if you enjoy that kind of digging as much as I do, then I have some really exciting news. We've just launched our new website, Samael.inc. That's SAMAEL.inc. You'll find all the original research for this explainer, detailed maps, and even tailor-made documents you can use for your own projects. And of course, you can find our full series on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, basically wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks so much for joining me.